The NBA's all-time leading scorer was ruled out for the rest of the game with a groin strain, and LeBron saying post-game he'll take it a day at a time.
I had several sources tell me that this could be measured in a manner of weeks and not days for LeBron James.
We weren't generating enough force to put any pressure on the rim and to get better looks.
Just over a month before the NBA playoffs, the atmosphere in Los Angeles was electric. The Lakers were hosting their longtime rivals, the Boston Celtics, in a showdown that carried the weight of a potential finals preview. Fans on both sides felt the magnitude of this meeting. Despite the mutual respect shared between these two legendary franchises, there was a simmering tension that could only be described as respectful hatred.
They lost to the Los Angeles Lakers earlier this season, and they see how they're rolling now. They want to send a message. It's going to be a beautiful game.
Each possession seemed to matter. Each player looked ready to prove they were the real alpha in this matchup. No one watching realized they were about to witness one of the most polarizing third quarters of the season, and an explosive fourth that nearly flipped the entire script. In the opening minutes, both coaches revealed their strategies like chess grandmasters, unveiling brand new tactics. The Celtics, missing Kristaps Porzingis but getting Drew Holiday back, decided they had no reason to respect the Lakers' outside shooting just yet. They deliberately sagged off certain shooters, hoping the Lakers would fall into the trap of jacking up contested threes. LeBron James, though, had no intention of playing into their plan. Early on, he made it clear that if you gave him an inch of space on the skip pass, he would deliver the ball right where it needed to be. A few crisp passes later, open shooters began to find their rhythm, knocking down shots and forcing Boston to adjust, but that's not all. With the Lakers missing Jackson Hayes due to a right knee contusion, Jared Vanderbilt stepped into the starting center role. Despite going small, the Lakers were determined to out-hustle Boston. Their tactic involved forcing Al Horford into uncomfortable positions whenever possible. If the Lakers saw Horford stuck on the perimeter, they didn't hesitate to drive right at him. At first, it seemed like a wise strategy. Austin Reeves, in particular, had no trouble slithering around Horford for a couple of smooth pull-up jumpers. But Horford is a veteran with a high basketball IQ, and he made sure that while he might give up a short-range bucket here or there, he wouldn't lose track of his larger defensive responsibilities. If someone beat him on the dribble, he'd at least funnel that player into a crowded paint or force a kick-out pass. To match that energy, the Celtics started tossing multiple defensive looks at LeBron, Reeves, and especially Luka Doncic, who'd recently been added to the Lakers roster in this hypothetical scenario. Whenever Doncic got the ball, Boston was content to double off Dorian Finney-Smith, gambling that Finney-Smith's shot wouldn't punish them too severely. A few times that gamble seemed risky as Finney-Smith found himself wide open for corner threes. Sometimes he hit them. Other times, the ball rimmed out. Each make or miss had an outsized impact on momentum. You could feel a collective shift in the building each time a three either splashed in or clanged off the iron, because these teams knew that every shot was a potential turning point. But listen to this. Early in the first quarter, the Lakers showed their own defensive card, swarming the Celtics' top scorers. Anytime Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum tried to create separation off-ball, the Lakers switched aggressively. Gabe Vincent, Finney-Smith, and Vanderbilt worked in concert to ensure that Tatum never got a free look. But it only takes one lapse to unravel a perfect defensive sequence, and Boston was adept at finding these cracks. If the Lakers were too slow to set up on baseline out-of-bounds plays, Brown was ready to exploit the opening. If they overcommitted to Tatum, someone else, like Derek White, would slip into space. And once Tatum got a rhythm, it was nearly impossible to put that genie back in the bottle. Every trip down the court carried a sense of urgency. You could see it in the players' faces. The Lakers tried to keep the ball hopping from one side of the floor to the other. Quick passes prevented the Celtics from locking in on any single ball handler. LeBron excelled at this, whipping passes through seams Boston didn't even know existed. Austin Reeves, too, showcased his ability to catch defenses off guard. At one point, Reeves casually walked into a deep three, capitalizing on Holiday going under a screen. That shot alone symbolized the chess match in progress. Each side dared the other to break form, and whenever someone took the bait, the momentum swung fast. It gets even crazier. As the first quarter wound down, both teams found themselves deadlocked at 33 points apiece. Despite the Celtics' hot stretch of three-point shooting, the Lakers hadn't collapsed. Shots were dropping at a pace that suggested we might be in for a high-scoring affair. Yet, beneath all the early offense, the defenses were quietly molding themselves for the next phase. The Lakers were getting frustrated with all the open shooters Boston seemed to generate. and the Celtics were annoyed that LeBron and Reeves were still dissecting their closeouts. The tension felt like a coiled spring ready to snap. When the second quarter began, you would have expected the Lakers to focus on tracking shooters more diligently. Instead, they got caught up in a wave of confusion. Misdirection by the Celtics caused the Lakers to lose track of Tatum and Brown multiple times. Meanwhile, LeBron continued to show off his surgical court vision. Whenever the Celtics threw a double at him, he immediately found a cutting teammate. If they didn't double, he attacked single coverage, using his muscle to carve out a path or a passing lane. And here's where things take an unexpected turn. The real story, though, was the constant defensive pressure from Boston. They executed near-seamless switches on pick and rolls, stifling many of the Lakers' off-ball cuts. Anytime the Lakers seemed to gain an advantage, a Celtic defender would rotate into position just in time to force a rushed shot. Once in a while, someone like Reeves would manage a bailout bucket at the end of the shot clock, but those rare highlights only underscored how difficult scoring had become. Repeatedly, the broadcast cut to the Lakers' bench, where head coach J.J. Redick looked visibly exasperated. He'd seen enough bad closeouts and missed assignments to last a lifetime. On Boston's side, Tatum was ramping up. He hunted mismatches, targeting Doncic and Reeves in isolation whenever he could. If the Lakers tried to peel switch or trap, Tatum simply spun away from the pressure or found Horford for easy cleanup opportunities. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown maintained a steady presence with timely cuts and perimeter spotting. He also used his lateral quickness on defense to disrupt passing lanes, forcing turnovers that led to fast break points. Every time Brown or Tatum soared in transition for a layup or dunk, you sensed the energy tilt toward the Celtics. Wait until you hear the next part. Despite all that, the Lakers hung around. The scoreboard stayed tight enough that one felt the game could pivot either way at the half. Doncic, however, looked like he was moving gingerly. He grabbed at his lower back a couple of times, and on some possessions, he parked himself in the corner, letting LeBron and Reeves initiate the offense. Nobody was sure if he was seriously hurt or simply fatigued. The Celtics, of course, weren't going to show him any mercy. With Tatum in attack mode, he drew foul after foul. Even LeBron found himself on the wrong side of the whistle, picking up 2 fouls in quick succession while trying to contain Tatum's drives. Vanderbilt emerged as a bright spot for the Lakers on the glass, fighting for rebounds against bigger bodies. His extra possessions led to a crucial second-chance points. But every time the Lakers seemed close to tying it up, someone like Horford or Derek White drilled a 3. The final minute of the half was a flurry of big plays, culminating in Tatum drilling a step-back 3 over Doncic, then following it up with a signature drive and thunderous flush at the rim. The Celtics walked into the locker room up by 4, but it felt like they had all the momentum. Tatum already had a 20-point half, and his confidence was shooting sky high. Yet there's another twist to this story. After halftime, Doncic switched shoes, a minor move that sometimes hints a player wants a mental reset. But no amount of shoe magic could have prevented what was coming in the third quarter. The Celtics unleashed a defensive assault that felt borderline cruel. Tatum, Brown, White, and Holiday were everywhere at once, poking the ball free, contesting every shot, and putting up just enough resistance to force misses. Their big man rotation, anchored by Horford, refused to give ground at the rim. When a Laker drove, Horford either forced a pass out or contested the layup just enough to knock it off target. The stat sheet soon revealed a brutal reality. The Lakers had only 2 made baskets through most of the third quarter. On offense, Tatum continued to hunt Doncic. He exploded into the paint, finishing gracefully with his left hand on consecutive possessions. Drew Holiday, for his part, made sure that on drives, Finney-Smith was preoccupied. This allowed Tatum a nearly unimpeded path to the hoop on multiple trips. When the Lakers tried to run the Celtics off the three-point line, Boston calmly adjusted and took mid-range jumpers or runners. Derek White, known for his long-range shooting, showed off a few slashes to the rim, scooping layups and kissing them off the glass. The Lakers were in disarray, stuck between wanting to protect the paint and knowing they couldn't afford to surrender open threes to a team that leads the league in three-point frequency. You'll never guess what happens next. With each Laker miss, Horford or Tatum snagged the rebound and ignited a fast break. Brown, gliding like a sprinter, capitalized on a few easy transition buckets. The Lakers' body language looked defeated. Even a few crafty moves by Doncic, like baiting defenders into fouls, weren't enough to stop the bleeding. Steals were happening left and right, as if the Celtics had memorized every single Laker play. By the end of the third, Boston's lead had ballooned to 20. Some fans left their seats, unwilling to witness any further unraveling. Others stayed, hoping for a miracle. But the real shocker is still on the way. Enter the fourth quarter, where the Lakers decided they had nothing to lose. They unleashed a furious blitz led by Lebron, who alternated between bullying defenders in the post and facilitating from the perimeter. Reeves caught fire once more, splashing a sidestep three that triggered a roar from the crowd. Doncic, still appearing to favor his back, nonetheless found ways to draw contact on drives and hoist his trademark high-arcing jumpers. Each made shot gave the Lakers' defense that extra spark of energy. Suddenly, the Celtics coughed up the ball a few times. Jason Tatum got whistled for an offensive foul. Jaylen Brown threw a pass that Reeves easily snatched. It was the shift the Lakers had been praying for. Momentum became a living, breathing force. Fans who had been slumped in their seats at the end of the third now leaped to their feet. Vanderbilt kept snatching offensive rebounds, fueling second-chance opportunities. One highlight saw LeBron spin multiple times in the post, luring defenders before going up strong with his left hand to finish. In the blink of an eye, a 20-point gap shrank to 15, then 12, then single digits. The Celtics looked momentarily stunned, as though they had been cruising to a blowout and didn't expect a counterattack. Panic began to creep across the Boston bench. Memories of other blown leads this season haunted them. Doncic stepped up when it mattered, draining a deep three that nearly blew the roof off. Even with Brown's hand in his face, he arched the ball perfectly, drawing the scoreboard within 4. Cue a ripple of disbelief that spread through both fan bases. Had the Lakers really willed themselves back into contention after that dreadful third quarter? The atmosphere was unhinged. People were losing their voices from cheering. Every bounce of the ball felt laced with drama. Here's where the story really heats up. The Lakers' roaring comeback looked unstoppable. LeBron was muscling through defenders, Austin Reeves drained clutch jumpers, and Luka Doncic battled on despite his own nagging back issue. Suddenly, midway through that critical final quarter, LeBron grimaced after an awkward landing. Fans held their breath. He was clutching his groin. It didn't look serious at first, but the concern on his face told a different story. Moments later, he made his way to the bench, and the air seemed to leave the building.
Yeah, it was the last play. The last score I had spun on Jaylen Brown. A couple pivots, and then when I landed, I felt it. So that was the last play I scored on.
With the main engine of their offense sitting out, the Lakers lost their edge. The Celtics, still stinging from that near collapse, smelled blood. Within seconds, Jaylen Brown knocked down a dagger three, and the Lakers' momentum vanished as quickly as it had sparked. A handful of additional missed shots and rushed possessions followed, sealing the team's fate. LeBron's groin had been an on-and-off concern for years. Every time he so much as grimaced there, Lakers fans flashed back to previous seasons derailed by lingering injuries. This time, the sudden tweak was enough to break the team's spirit. The scoreboard, once narrowing to single digits, soon ballooned back into double figures. Boston pounced on the opening, drilling open shots, reclaiming rebounds, and putting the finishing touches on a victory that seemed inevitable from the moment LeBron stepped off the court. Whether we see a repeat of this clash in June or not, one thing is certain. Nobody who witnessed this potential finals preview will forget how quickly fortunes can change when two heavyweights collide. Thank you so much for watching till the very end. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss our next upload.